This is today's shoe. It's the Reebok Question Mid Candyland, and this is Candyland, the game that it's based on. And that, this shoe, there isn't much about it that I like at all, except everything. For me, this shoe is just totally not my kind of shoe, but this game is my kind of game, and that's why I like everything about the shoe and nothing about the shoe. And we'll get into all that today, and I'll talk about the shoes I do like and all those kind of things. But when it comes to the game itself, everything about it is a big yes for me. I know it's a very simple game, but I happened upon this game. I didn't know about it at all. I just happened to be in a situation where there were lots of games being played, and this was one of the games. And it was like, played it, and I was like, yes. This game makes absolute sense. It's a very well intelligent, cleverly made game because it's just the right balance of difficulty and challenge, but fairness, so that you never really know who's quite going to win the game in the end. And I love that. It's well designed. It's exactly what you need a game to be, both in terms of its technical side, but also in terms of its aesthetic side. So love that. But then the shoe, I'm like, this isn't what I do in shoes at all. I've done a few Reebok Question Mids down the line, and if you check them all out one after the other, you'll be able to see that they're all very sort of simple looking shoes. So we'll get into that side of things today. We'll get into all the hits on this shoe, which make it an outrageous shoe, and I'll give you my perspective on that and take you through it piece by piece. So without further ado, let's get into this and take a close-up look at the upcoming release of the Reebok Question Mid Candyland. This is the Tokyo Butter 23 Secret channel. Tokyo Butter 23 Secret channelです。毎日アップするので毎日見てくださいね。Every single day from Tokyo, Japan. I bring you content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news, and sneaker reviews, and that's every day, 7 days a week. Even on the weekends, I'm bringing you this stuff. And like I said, Reebok Question Mids. There've been a few of them. I think the very first one I did from the channel was something grey, something to do with the year of the rat or something like that at the start of last year. And then I've done a few since then. Had a look at them. The yellow toe, I think, was the most recent one now that I think about it. But there've been a few. There was actually a Gru one as well with the Minions films too. So they'll probably all pop into my head one after the other throughout this video. But I've done a few of these videos and talked about this shoe a few times, so I know where to look for all of those details and missing details. Because there are a few, even in a shoe as outrageous as this, they've actually missed one really major point on the shoe. But we'll get into that after first I've talked about these. And hopefully what's behind me right now is the red cement 3s, a beautiful Jordan sneaker, and maybe my favourite sneaker in my own personal collection. That or the red 4s from 2019. I'm kind of going with the red cement 3s. I know they're not as iconic as the red 4s, but they do it for me, and that's why this right here, hopefully behind us here, is Midnight Navy. In 10 days time we'll be dropping, and I am seriously thinking about getting that shoe. That is exactly what I want a shoe to look like. Very simple, very tidy, very clean, very not the Question Mid Candyland. But that doesn't mean I can't talk about it, and it doesn't mean I can't tell you guys where to look on this shoe to get the detailing and to see what's actually going on. So I'm going to do that for you guys right now. Quick flash to the game one more time. You get that. It's a board game. There's 4 pieces, I think, that you have, and you're rolling a dice and trying to make your way from the start to the goal. Very standard stuff. Lots of animation, lots of color, lots of cartoon feel to that, and it's all of that that's transferred into the shoe. But some of the details that are transferred, I can't find them specifically on the board game, so they might just be a sort of image of the board game or a feel of the board game, but not actually specifically taken from the board game. So with that in mind, let's get into the shoe and have a look at it. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the front and work my way back, because the front is one of the most outrageous things on the shoe, and that's the toe box, which is pink, which in and of itself is an outrageous thing to do. And then on top of that, big purple polka dots all the way through that toe box on there. They're not even little discreet polka dots, they're big in-your-face polka dots. So right from the very front of the shoe, the very tip of that toe box, you've got the outrageous feel of this animation, kind of cartoon, larger than life board game that's been brought in here. And then back from that, I'm going to go to the midfoot first, and then we'll go up to the laces and the tongues. All of them are interesting. I could go any which way, but what I'll do is I'll first start with the medial side of the midfoot, and you see that panel on there with a sort of rainbow effect, which is cool, very nice, but it's embellished a little bit more on the lateral side. If we flip it out to that and have a look at the lateral side, you can see it says Rainbow Trail, which is a feature of the game. Now usually board games have little bits in them to help somebody catch up that's fallen behind. In the case of Candyland, there's 2 places where you can shortcut from one part of the board to another part of the board. One of them is very short. I can't remember what it's called, but it's just a little, it cuts out like maybe no more than 8 or 10 10 spaces, so you jump ahead 8 or 10 spaces, but towards the start there's the rainbow trail where you're cutting out a full third of the board to jump maybe as much as 20, maybe even 30 spaces ahead, and it's that little kind of thing there that's designed to bring someone back into the game who's been sent all the way back to the start, and they've got a chance to get back into the game real fast. And those are the kind of things I mean. I often talk about bowling, the width of a bowling lane, the length of a bowling lane, the size of the pins, the size of the ball. If it was a little bit wider, it would be too hard. If it was a little bit narrower, it would be too easy. If it was a little bit longer, it would be too hard. If it was a bit shorter, it would be too easy. All those kind of things. If the ball was smaller, it would be too hard. If the ball was bigger, it would be too easy. That kind of stuff is perfected over time to get just the right dimensions for it to work. And it's the same with Candyland. Trust me, if you've never played it, play this game, because it's exactly perfect for, like I said, that challenge and that fairness equally, and people having a chance to win even right up to the end. The only other game I could compare it to is Sorry. If you've ever heard of Sorry, I would say it's probably my all-time favorite board game. I think that's a classic game. But that's like, back to it, back to the shoe. So we're on that midfoot, and on the lateral side, that shortcut in that rainbow panel inside, it says Rainbow Trail, I think is what it is, which is the big shortcut on the Candyland game. And then going up from that, the one thing that I was disappointed in this shoe, I mean, it's not a shoe I'm going to go after, it totally isn't my thing, but I was looking for this and it wasn't there, is the lace loops. They often put something on the lace loops. For example, they might put the Reebok branding on there, and tiny little Reebok branding all the way down, or they might spell the word Reebok, R-E-E-B-O-K, because there's 6 lace loops on there, or they might put some design in them. So I was looking for something else, like maybe have candy in there or something like that, or some kind of extravagant design, and had nothing. And maybe that in itself is interesting, but I was looking for it, a bit disappointed it wasn't there. But this was a surprise to me, just to see this behind the loops. There is an Allen Iverson shoe, which it is Allen Iverson. This is his trademark shoe from back in the 90s, but I've never seen that writing down there. Now, it might be on other ones and I haven't noticed it, or it might be on some and not on others, or it might be completely unique to the shoe. For me, it's the first time I've ever seen it, but maybe not. And then into the tongues, right beside that, you've got this wild, hairy green tongue hanging out under the laces. Don't know why. Green would have been fine, you know, to go with the color of the game. The game has no texture whatsoever. There's nothing on there that gives you that hairy feel, so I don't know what that's all about. And then you travel up that tongue to the top of the tongue, to the white top half of the tongue. One of my favorite things about the Question Mids is the offset branding at the top of the tongue. In the case of these guys, instead of being Reebok or the Q for Question Mids, it's Candyland at the top of the tongue. And then we can go to the insole. I think there's something I missed out on. It's going to come back to me, but we can go to the insole now. Just have a quick peek. Very difficult to see, but you can see there's something going on in there with some extra bit of branding hanging out in the insole of these guys. It looks different on the two shoes, and then round to the heel. A lot going on in the heel in the two halves, the top and the bottom. At the top, you've got that kind of brown effect coming in with the pinks and the purples as well, and then the Reebok branding in there, and you drop that down to the bottom, and that kind of candy sort of animation feel for the number 3 that you usually, if not always, see on the back of Question Mids. And then the last thing to do, except for that thing that I've forgotten about and I've remembered it, yahoo, is the hang tag. So I'll do the hang tag first, and then we'll get to the outsole. So the hang tags on these guys, very unique, is the actual characters that jump around the game. You know, roll a 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got a funny feeling that Candyland didn't use dice, but I might be wrong about that. I haven't played it for years and years and years, but I've got a funny feeling that maybe it did use dice. But anyway, the characters that move around the board, there's one of them hanging off the side of this guy, and the hang tag, I think it's red. And then to the outsole, the final thing, the shoe, a very beautiful green outsole. We saw it on the toe box sort of poking out the front of the shoe, and I was expecting green, but I wasn't expecting semi-translucent, and I wasn't expecting it to be laced with glitter. But then when you think about it, of course it is. It's Candyland after all. And that kind of finishes up the shoe and brings us to the end of this guy with that great looking outsole popping on the bottom of this. So back out to the whole thing and looking at the whole shoe. There's just no way in the world I'm going to buy these guys ever. It's not a shoe I could wear, but I love it. I love the fact it's that close to Candyland, and I think Candyland's a great game. So you know, maybe it's not my thing, but I'm sure it's a lot of people's things out there, and it's got so much going on. There'll be people that are interested in getting their hands on this shoe. Knock yourselves out, enjoy. Hopefully this video helped you think about that and make a decision as to whether you're going to get it or not. For now though, it's time for me to sign off and just finish up this video for another day. This daily content I'm churning out and keeping ahead of the game right now. Happy to bring it to you guys. Be back tomorrow with another sneaker, but for now it's time to say thanks for checking out the content, but because I do this every single day, that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.